Hi guys, it's me Anne from Geeks of Green, and today I will show you 5 plants from my balcony that I consider are beautiful, unusual, if not rare. They're not rare plants, definitely, but they are really beautiful plants and are not very easily found. But if you look for them, you'll definitely find them. These plants are very hardy in my opinion. Now, this is not a generalization that I'm making. I'm not saying they're easy to care under all circumstances. What I'm trying to say is, in my experience, under the conditions that I have been keeping them in my balcony, they are quite easy to keep. So I have listed down 5 such plants for you, and I'm going to show you those plants today. So guys, I didn't get an opportunity to announce the winner of the April giveaway. That is only because I couldn't put out videos for 2 weeks in the month of April. So the giveaway has extended to 1 more week, and we've pushed it to the second video of the month of May. So you get another chance to participate and leave your comments down below and try to win these beautiful planters sponsored by Astro Design. When we say hardy plants, the first thing that comes to our minds is ZZ, Aglaonemas, money plant. So I won't be talking about those plants to you because those have been listed multiple times on the internet. These are, other than the most common hardy plants, these are some slightly unusual, slightly different, but very beautiful and gorgeous plants that I have owned and I have been successful in keeping. So I'll quickly list down to you the conditions that are there in my balcony. Now, it is a northeast facing balcony. There is an east exposure from that side. A little bit of morning sunlight comes just 1 hour in the day. And otherwise, it's just bright and direct light. Then, if we talk about humidity, the humidity right now is 58%. That's in the middle of summer. It also goes to 60%, and the humidity is generally high because it's a coastal city. It's around Mumbai, so the humidity is generally high. It's not on the lower side. It's not a very dry city, so that is why I keep a lot of humidity loving plants. So I also got a ceiling fan up there for airflow and also to cool the balcony a bit in the very hot summers. I have also set up a lot of tube lights around the balcony to increase the light because the light is very limited in this space. So these are the conditions, and now let's go and have a look at the plants that have liked these conditions and are thriving here. Come follow me. The first plant that I'm going to talk about is the Paleonia repens, and it is a very hardy plant, extremely easy to propagate. All you have to do is just pluck a stem and poke it into a pot of soil and it takes root. It is very easy to propagate. So once you have one plant, you can definitely have many more pot full of Paleonia repens. I myself have propagated many pots. I have also given away many pots. I have also kept many pots here and there full of these Paleonia repens plants, and they grow beautifully. Now, what I really loved about them is the striking foliage. It has a very unusual foliage. It's got leaves that have some variegation. Then there are darker leaves, and it changes. It's not like, the same leaves going throughout. It's like darker leaves here, and then the leaves here are very different. And under different light conditions, the leaves look different. So I have kept it under a grow light, and the leaves turned out to be darker and more maroon than when it is under lesser light. So this plant is one plant that I would definitely recommend, and it's easier to get your hands on. I have seen it in a couple of nurseries, and if you see this, buy it because it's a very good plant and it's a very hardy plant. In terms of care, all this plant needs is a little bit of bright and direct light. It does well in low light conditions as well as bright light conditions. It doesn't complain, and you need to water it whenever the soil is a little dry. So just check if the soil is dry and then water it again. That's all that it needs. A little bit of fertilizing occasionally. So it doesn't call for a lot of attention, but it is a giving plant. It grows beautifully, and you can have a lot more if you just invest in one small pot of Paleonia repens. So this is one plant that I would consider extremely hardy and beautiful and unusual as well. The next one, a hardy but beautiful looking plant, is the Scindapsus pictus, which is right here. I'll remote for you guys. It's a gorgeous looking plant. As you can see, the silver splashes on the leaves are really, really beautiful. This is how the silver splashes are. And as the leaf matures, it becomes darker. And I had bought a very small plant of this. If you have been following my hauls for some time now, I think you must have seen, if you remember long back, I had picked this plant up. It was a very small plant and now it's really grown a lot and it's just grown into the bush. It needs to be pruned occasionally, and I will confess I haven't done it. I'm going to be doing it in the rainy season. I'm going to propagate cuttings of this and probably fill up all the empty spots in there and make a few more pots as well. So this is a plant again that loves to give and non-fussy. I've never had pests troubling it, even though I've had mealybugs on so many of my plants. Not on the Scindapsus, definitely not on any of my Scindapsus. So these plants do okay in low light conditions as well. Low light as in indirect light. If not, complete darkness. You can't keep them in complete darkness, but they will definitely do okay in low light conditions. And you have to water them occasionally. Just don't overwater them. That's all they ask. And I feel it's a very rewarding plant. So this is definitely on my list of hardy plants that are really, really gorgeous. I'll show you the other Scindapsus that I have also. I do have the Scindapsus trubii as well. It's a very slow growing plant, but I wouldn't consider it as a very hardy, and I wouldn't equal it to these plants definitely. These are much better in terms of growth and in terms of being okay with conditions that are a little difficult. So this is the other one that I have. So it's been growing quite well. Again, this one was also a small pot which has now grown quite well. It's continuing to grow, and I'm going to probably cut a few cuttings and fill up the empty spots. I've been doing that occasionally, and that's how it's come to this. But I'm sure it can get much more full and much more better. In these kind of light conditions, it's growing quite good, and the variegation is also really beautiful. I really like this plant. It's a pretty plant. If you can get your hands on it, go for it. This is one plant that will really keep you happy. No fuss plants. The next plant that I would say is a very hardy plant but is beautiful and has unusual leaves is the Philodendron pedatum. It's commonly found, I've seen it in many nurseries, very easily found, at least in Mumbai. And even in Pune, I did spot it in many nurseries. This plant, if you see it, do get your hands on it because it's got very stunning, very good looking foliage. You see the shape of the leaves. They look so good. And it's a non-fussy plant in my experience with the low light conditions. It's still been growing quite well and it's short of the moss pole multiple times. I have taken so many cuttings from it, and now I'm just letting it, I've tied it up to the spot here and I'm just letting it take the support and go up if it wants to. So I'm going to probably suspend it from the ceiling there and let it climb up because it just wants to grow. I'm not going to stop it. So this is a beautiful plant, and if you do get your hands on it, I feel it's a good buy, and it's a plant that will not trouble you. At least in my experience, it hasn't troubled me. So I can just tell you what I have experienced. So this is a plant that I would list as hardy but beautiful. So the next plant that I would like to list down as beautiful yet easy to care for is this Asplenium nidus, or we call it the bird's nest fern. Now this is a beautiful plant. If you get your hands on a good healthy one, all you have to do is give it bright and direct light and water it frequently and give it space. It needs space to spread out its fronds. If you do that, the plant will be happy. And if it's in a humid place, the plant will be happy. So in my experience, this plant has been happy being in this balcony that's pretty humid and spreading out, especially that one, the big one, the Splenium nidus, the one that's there. The moment I put it in a hanging pot and I gave it place to spread out and grow, it started growing well, and it got established there, and it's pretty happy there. So I don't have to bother about it much, just water it regularly, and it's been growing so beautifully ever since. Now I probably will get that down for you guys to see. Many times I've got it down and it's hit the fan and there has been damage, but this is how it looks. This is the damage that was caused when it hit the fan once when I'd got it down. And it's got some paint. When the neighboring grill was being painted, the leaf got painted. So this fellow has been through a lot, but still I'm really happy with this plant. It's a beautiful plant, and if you put it in a bigger pot, it grows really huge, and it is so beautiful. If you have the space for it, this plant is definitely a must. It's a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous looking plant if you have the space for it. The next plant that I'm going to be talking about is the staghorn fern, which is sitting right there on top. And it is actually literally sitting in a spot where I've kind of forgotten about it. There's just one bulb right on top of it, and I do water it when I water the other plants, but many times it doesn't get water. And it's a beautiful plant, totally, completely forgotten, but he's growing, and I feel it's if you care for this plant and if you give it everything that it wants, I'm sure this plant is going to look majestic and beautiful. So it's a very easy to care for plant. Ever since I got this plant, I have been wanting to mount it on a board, and that's how it's usually kept. But I never got the time. I never repotted it. It's been so long. I'm amazed as to how this fellow is surviving and not complaining. So I would definitely consider the Platycerium, the staghorn fern, a very hardy plant and also a very beautiful and stunning plant. I've been looking out for more of these plants, but I haven't seen staghorns being sold very frequently in our Indian nurseries. So you got to look out for them, and if you get your hands on one, great. They are great plants to keep. I really do hope that you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also leave in your comments down below what you liked about this video, and we would love to hear from you as well. I do hope to see you soon in another video. Till then, stay safe, stay green.